The chance encounter. The night was dark and the streets were almost empty. Heavy rain poured down, washing away the dust and dirt from the city roads. Expensive cars moved quickly past the poor neighborhoods, their shining lights cutting through the fog. In a quiet corner of that same city, near the edge where the rich and poor worlds met, a small figure walked alone. She was a girl, no older than 15, her clothes torn, her feet bare, and her hair wet from the rain. Her face was pale, but her eyes glowed faintly under the streetlight. Anyone who looked closely would notice she was not like other children. There was something unusual about her, something not fully human. She held her thin arms close to her chest as she moved from one shadow to another. She had been hungry for days. She had no home, no family, and no name she dared to speak out loud. All she wanted was to survive one more night. At the same time, in a different part of the city, a long black car drove slowly down the street. Inside sat a man in a sharp suit, his expression hard and serious. Beside him was a woman dressed in elegant clothes, her eyes tired but full of sadness. They were not ordinary people. The man was a millionaire businessman, one of the most powerful in the city. The woman was his wife, known for her beauty and kindness, but tonight both of them were quiet. They had just come from a charity event, but their hearts were heavy. For years they had carried the pain of losing their daughter. She had vanished when she was very young, and no one had ever found her. Police reports had gone cold, private investigators had failed, and even their money had not been enough to bring her back. The wound in their hearts had never healed. As the car turned down a lonely road, the wife suddenly leaned forward. Her eyes widened as she looked through the window. Under a flickering streetlight, she saw the small figure of the strange girl. The girl stood there, trembling in the rain, her big eyes glowing faintly, almost like a reflection of sorrow. "Stop the car," the wife cried, her voice shaking. The driver pressed the brakes, confused, but obeyed. The husband frowned and looked outside. "What is it?" he asked. The wife pressed her hand against the glass, her voice breaking. She looks like our lost daughter." The words hung in the air like thunder. The husband turned to look more carefully. He saw the ragged girl, her thin body shivering in the cold. He narrowed his eyes. At first he thought his wife was imagining things. But then when the girl raised her head, he saw something that froze his breath. The girl's face, though strange, carried a shocking resemblance to their child. The same small nose, the same shape of the lips, and her eyes, though glowing with an alien hue, looked painfully familiar. The wife's hands trembled. "It cannot be, but it is her. I feel it." The husband shook his head. "No, it's impossible. She's just a beggar girl. Don't let your grief fool you." But the wife refused to listen. She opened the car door and stepped into the rain, walking quickly toward the girl. The guards rushed to follow, but the husband raised his hand, telling them to wait. His heart beat faster as he watched. The girl looked up, startled. She was ready to run, as she always did when strangers came near. But something about the woman's face made her freeze. The woman knelt down in front of her, her expensive dress soaking in the rain, and whispered softly, "My child, is it really you?" The girl blinked. She had never seen this woman before, yet her voice stirred something inside her chest, a memory she could not explain, a warmth she had never felt before. But the moment lasted only seconds. Fear returned and the girl stepped back. I am no one," she stammered, her voice weak. The husband now stepped out of the car, holding an umbrella over his wife. He studied the girl with sharp eyes. Something inside him screamed that this was a trick. He had enemies. People would do anything to hurt him. Was this girl a plant? A scam, or was she really? The rain fell harder. Thunder rolled in the sky and tension wrapped around all three of them. The wife reached out again, tears streaming down her face. "Please, let me look at you." Just once, the girl hesitated. She wanted to run, but something held her there. And then lightning flashed across the sky, and in that brief light, the husband noticed something. The girl had a scar on her wrist, the same scar his daughter had received from an accident long ago. His breath caught in his throat. His mind refused to believe, yet his heart whispered a dangerous truth. The girl looked frightened as she whispered, Why are you looking at me like that?" The wife's voice broke as she whispered back, "Because you are our daughter." And in that instant, the world around them seemed to stop. The invitation. The rain did not stop. It fell heavier, drumming on the roof of the black car and splashing against the empty streets. The millionaire's wife remained kneeling before the girl, her hands shaking as she reached out. The girl, thin and frightened, took another step back, her glowing eyes flickering with fear. The husband stood tall, holding the umbrella above his wife, his jaw tight. His sharp voice cut through the storm. "Enough, she is not our daughter. We must leave," but the wife ignored him. Her eyes never left the strange girl. "Look at her," she whispered. "Look at her face. Look at her wrist. That scar, it is the same. My heart knows. She is ours." The husband clenched his fists. His wife's grief had haunted their home for years. He had seen her cry herself to sleep every night, dreaming of the daughter they lost. And now, here she was, kneeling in the rain before a beggar child with alien eyes, desperate to believe in miracles. The girl shivered, unsure of what to do. She wanted to run into the shadows, the only place she had ever felt safe, but hunger twisted inside her stomach like a knife. She could barely stand anymore. The wife slowly took off her necklace, a thin silver chain with a small diamond pendant. She held it out toward the girl. "Here, child, take this. It is not much, but you look so cold, so hungry. Let me help you." The girl stared at the necklace. No one had ever offered her anything so valuable. Suspicion rose in her mind. Nothing was ever free. Every kindness she had seen before came with a price. But her stomach growled again, and her eyes dropped to the warm car waiting nearby. The husband saw the hesitation and spoke quickly. "We don't know who she is. She could be dangerous. She is not coming with us." The wife turned to him, her face fierce despite the rain. "If you will not bring her, then I will. I will not leave her here to die. Not when she might be our child." For the first time in years, the husband saw fire in his wife's eyes, the same fire she once had when she fought for their daughter's life as a baby in the hospital. He sighed heavily, realizing he could not stop her. "Fine," he said coldly, "but do not regret this." The wife smiled through her tears and turned back to the girl. She held out her hand. "Come with us. You don't have to stay here in the rain. We will give you food, warmth, and a bed. Just for one night, please." The girl's heart pounded. She had learned long ago that trusting strangers could end in pain. But the woman's voice carried a strange softness she had never known before. Against all her instincts, her thin hand slowly reached out. The wife gently took it and stood, pulling the girl closer. The millionaire's guards exchanged nervous looks. It was not their place to question, but none of them liked the sight of this glowing-eyed child stepping into their master's world. The wife guided the girl to the car. The husband moved aside, watching with an unreadable expression. As the girl slid onto the leather seat, she sank deep into the softness, her body trembling. She had never touched anything so fine. The car door closed, shutting out the storm. For the first time in many nights, she felt a strange sense of safety. Yet her eyes darted nervously around, ready to run if needed. The wife sat beside her, covering her with a warm coat. "Rest, child. You are safe now." But the husband's eyes in the front mirror stayed sharp and suspicious. He whispered to the driver, "Take us home. And call the doctor." Quietly. The mansion appeared after half an hour, tall gates opening to let the car pass. The girl's eyes widened as she saw the glowing lights, the fountains, and the garden stretching across the land. It looked like a palace, too beautiful to be real. When the car stopped, the wife held her hand again and led her inside. The grand hall smelled of roses and marble, filled with priceless paintings and shining floors. Servants gasped as they saw the ragged stranger brought into their master's house. "She's just a child," the wife said firmly. "Bring her food and warm clothes." The girl's eyes widened at the plates that were quickly set before her. Bread, meat, soup, and fruit. She ate hungrily, tears rolling down her face as she tasted food that was not stale or stolen. The wife stroked her damp hair gently. "There now, eat slowly. No one will take it from you here." But the husband stood near the fireplace, his face hidden in the shadows. His thoughts raced. Who was this girl really? A beggar? A thief? A trick sent by his enemies? Or his heart whispered again, their child lost so long ago. As he watched, his wife's laughter filled the hall for the first time in years. She smiled like a mother again, her grief replaced by hope. The husband tightened his jaw. If this girl truly was their daughter, then something dark was behind her disappearance. And if she was not, then a storm was coming to their home. Either way, tonight was only the beginning. The strange similarities. The mansion was quiet that night, except for the soft sound of rain still falling outside. The girl sat at the long dining table, her small figure lost between tall chairs and shining silverware. Her thin hands shook as she held a spoon, slowly lifting it to her lips. She ate as if she was afraid someone would snatch the food away. The wife sat beside her, watching every movement with wet eyes. The servants had brought warm clothes for the girl, a simple cotton dress and slippers. For the first time in years, laughter and hope shone in the wife's face. "She eats the same way," she whispered to her husband, who stood at the other end of the room, arms folded. "Do you remember? Our daughter used to grip the spoon like that. Just like this child." The husband's sharp eyes studied the girl. He wanted to deny it, to call it coincidence. But deep inside, his chest felt heavy. The resemblance was too close. Still, he hardened his voice. "Every hungry child eats like that. Do not fool yourself," but his wife ignored him. She leaned closer to the girl. "Do you remember anything about your family, child? Your parents?" The girl hesitated, lowering her spoon. Her glowing eyes darkened with confusion. "I don't know. I don't remember their faces. Sometimes I see a room with lights, people in white coats, voices speaking numbers, and then nothing." The wife's heart broke. She brushed the girl's hair back gently. "Oh, my poor dear." The husband's frown deepened. White coats, lights, numbers. It sounded like something more than a simple street orphan. He made a silent note to call his investigator at dawn. After dinner, the wife led the girl upstairs. The mansion's halls were wide and filled with portraits of the family. They stopped before one, a painting of a little girl in a white dress smiling, her small wrist showing a faint scar. The strange girl's eyes locked on the painting. Her lips trembled. That looks like me." The wife gasped and held her close. Yes, it is you." The husband came forward quickly. "It does not prove anything. Children can look alike. Do not rush." But even as he said it, his eyes betrayed doubt. The girl stepped closer to the painting, tracing the frame with her fingers. A sudden memory flashed in her mind. She remembered falling once, crying, and a woman's voice singing softly as a bandage was tied around her wrist. The memory was blurry, but the feeling was warm. She turned to the wife slowly. "Did you sing to me once?" The wife broke down into tears. She hugged the girl tightly. "Yes, I did. Every night." The husband's heart thudded painfully. He wanted to shout that it was impossible, and yet every word, every detail pulled him deeper into the storm of doubt. Later that night, the wife insisted the girl rest in their daughter's old room. It had been locked for years, untouched, a shrine of memories. When the door opened, the air smelled faintly of lavender. The bed was still neatly made, toys still waiting on the shelves. The girl froze in the doorway. Her eyes scanned the room slowly. She stepped inside, her bare feet brushing the soft carpet. Her hand reached out and touched a stuffed animal lying on the bed. She picked it up with trembling fingers. "This bear," she whispered. "I know this bear. I used to hold it when I was scared." The wife gasped again, covering her mouth. The husband felt the ground slip beneath him. How could she know about the bear? It was custom-made, created only for their daughter. The girl hugged the toy tightly, her glowing eyes filled with tears. "I don't understand. How can I remember this?" The wife stroked her hair, whispering, "Because this is your home. These are your things. You are not alone anymore." The husband stood at the door, silent. He looked at the scar again on her wrist, the same scar his daughter had. He looked at the bear, at her face, at her strange glowing eyes. The truth pressed against his mind, but he refused to let it in. As the girl drifted to sleep in the warm bed, the wife stayed beside her, humming the same lullaby she once sang years ago. The girl's breathing softened, her small body relaxing for the first time in a long while. But the husband remained in the shadows of the hallway, whispering to himself, "This is not simple. If she truly is our daughter, then what happened to her? Who changed her? And why?" His phone buzzed in his pocket. A message from his most trusted man read, "Doctor will arrive tomorrow morning for tests." Quiet and discreet, the husband's eyes narrowed. He would not rest until he knew the truth. In the middle of the night, thunder rumbled outside. The girl stirred in her sleep, her small hands gripping the bear. Strange dreams filled her mind. Cold rooms, scientists speaking in alien tongues, bright lights, and the sound of machines. And always a shadowed figure watching from behind the glass. She woke with a cry, sweat on her forehead. The wife rushed to her side, holding her hand. "It's all right, my darling. You are safe here. But as the girl lay back down, her glowing eyes stared into the darkness. Safe, she was not sure. Deep inside, she felt someone would come for her. And soon, the wife kissed her forehead and whispered, "Sleep, my child. Tomorrow everything will be better." But in the doorway, the husband's eyes stayed cold and calculating. Tomorrow the truth would begin to unfold, and he was not sure if his heart was ready for it. The DNA test. The morning sun rose behind heavy clouds, painting the mansion in pale light. The house was awake earlier than usual. Servants moved quietly, whispering to each other about the mysterious girl who had arrived the night before. Some were curious, some were afraid. They had all seen her glowing eyes, and none of them could forget it. The wife sat beside the girl at the breakfast table, gently helping her with the food. The girl looked cleaner now, wearing fresh clothes. Her hair brushed softly behind her shoulders. Yet her eyes still carried shadows, as if fear lived permanently inside her. "You must eat," the wife said kindly. "You are far too thin." The girl nodded, eating slowly. For the first time in her life, she felt warmth around her. But deep down, she could not shake the thought that all of this could disappear in a moment. The husband entered the dining hall, his steps firm, his face unreadable. He gave the girl a brief glance, then turned to his wife. "The doctor is on his way," he said. The wife looked up, surprised. "Doctor, why?" "To know the truth," the husband replied coldly. His eyes shifted toward the girl. "If she really is ours, then proof will show it. If she is not, we will know soon enough." The wife's hands trembled slightly. She wanted to believe her heart without any test, but she said nothing. She only placed her hand gently over the girl's, as if to shield her. By midday, a quiet car rolled into the mansion gates. An old man stepped out carrying a black case. He was not just any doctor. He was the family's private physician, trusted for years, and skilled in things most doctors never spoke of. The husband welcomed him into the study, away from the servants' curious eyes. "You know what to do," he whispered. "I want no records, no reports outside these walls." The doctor nodded. "Understood." Soon after, the girl was brought to the study. She looked nervous as the doctor opened his case and prepared his instruments. The wife held her hand, whispering gently, "Don't be afraid. It won't hurt." The husband stood in the corner, arms folded, his eyes sharp. He watched every movement. The doctor took a small sample of blood. The girl winced but stayed silent. The doctor then began scanning her body with strange handheld devices, machines the family had collected over the years from alien traders. Glowing screens showed results in symbols the husband barely understood. The wife looked anxiously from the doctor to the girl. "Well, what do you see?" The doctor hesitated, studying the screen. His brows furrowed. "Strange. Very strange." "What do you mean?" the husband demanded. The doctor turned the device toward him. "The DNA structure is unusual. It is not fully human," the wife gasped, tightening her grip on the girl's hand. "Not human? Then what is she?" The doctor took a deep breath. "She is part human, but part something else. Alien genes have been spliced into her body. I have never seen a case like this." The room went silent. The husband's face hardened. He had feared something like this. His mind raced with questions. Who had done this? Why had their daughter been turned into this? The wife shook her head, tears falling. No, she is still ours. Look at her face, her scar, her memories. I don't care what science says. She is our child." The husband stepped closer, his voice sharp. "And what if she is a trick? What if someone took her, changed her, and sent her back to us for a reason?" The girl pulled her hand away, her glowing eyes wide with fear. I didn't ask for this. I don't know what I am. Please don't send me away." The wife pulled her into her arms, whispering soothingly, "No one will send you away, my darling. You are safe here." But the husband's jaw tightened. Safe? He wasn't sure. That night, the doctor stayed to finish his analysis. He brought out another device, one used only in secret. It compared the girl's DNA to a hidden sample he had stored years ago, taken from the couple's real daughter. Hours later, the results came back. The doctor looked shaken as he delivered the verdict. "There is a match," he said quietly, "but not a full one. 50% of her DNA is identical to your daughter's. The rest, altered, replaced, or fused with alien origin. She is not entirely human anymore, but she is yours. At least she once was." The wife collapsed into tears, clutching the girl as if she would never let go again. "I knew it," she cried. "I knew she was ours." The husband's face turned pale. His heart pounded, torn between relief and horror. Yes, the girl was their daughter, but what had been done to her? And who had the power to do such a thing? That night the girl sat awake in her bed, hugging the stuffed bear tightly. She whispered into the dark, her voice trembling. Who am I really? Why can't I remember everything? In the hallway, the husband stood silently, listening. His eyes burned with questions. Someone had stolen his child. Someone had turned her into something both human and alien. And whoever it was, they were still out there. The wife entered quietly, resting her head on his shoulder. We have her back. That is all that matters. But the husband's voice was cold as steel. No, this is only the beginning. Whoever did this will come for her again. And when they do, we must be ready. The storm outside thundered as if to answer his words. The girl lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Deep in her heart, she knew he was right. Someone somewhere wanted her back, and they would not stop until they found her. The dark truth. The rain had passed, but the mansion still felt heavy with silence. The girl sat in her room, clutching the stuffed bear as if it were her only shield against the world. She had slept little, haunted by dreams of bright lights, strange voices, and faces she could never see clearly. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard the sound of machines humming and cold. Downstairs in the grand study, the husband and wife sat across from each other. The doctor had left hours ago, but his words lingered like a curse in the air. She is yours, but not entirely human. The wife's eyes were swollen from crying. It does not matter, she whispered fiercely. She is ours. They took her, they changed her, but she is still our child. The husband leaned back, his eyes sharp with thought. Do you not see? Someone did this for a reason. Someone powerful enough to steal her, hide her, and turn her into whatever she is now. His fist clenched on the armrest. And I will know who. The wife shook her head, her voice breaking. All that matters is she is home. The husband's gaze turned toward the window where the night pressed against the glass. Home, yes. But for how long? The next day, the girl wandered through the mansion's long hallways. Every painting, every polished surface seemed to whisper memories she could not fully recall. She stopped in front of a locked door at the end of a corridor. Something about it called to her. She touched the handle, but it did not open. A faint memory flickered. She remembered being dragged through a door like this once, kicking and crying. Voices in strange accents had spoken coldly above her. Her knees went weak and she leaned against the wall, breathing hard. That evening, she sat in the dining hall with the couple. The wife smiled at her gently, encouraging her to eat. But the husband, silent, only studied her. Finally, he spoke. Do you remember anything else? Anything about where you came from? The girl lowered her fork. Flashes. I see glass walls. People in white coats, sometimes cages, and a man's voice always hidden in the shadows. He called me by a number, not a name. The wife gasped, her hand flying to her lips. Cages? They treated her like an animal? The girl's eyes filled with tears. I don't know who I am. I don't know why they kept me. But they tested me. Needles, machines, I hated it. I wanted to scream. The husband leaned forward, his voice low. And do you remember how you escaped? The girl frowned, shaking her head. I just ran. One night, alarms were ringing. Doors were open. I don't know why. I only ran. I ran until the city swallowed me. The husband's heart pounded. His mind raced with possibilities. Someone must have unlocked those doors. Someone had let her go, maybe as a warning, maybe as bait. The wife took the girl's trembling hand, her voice breaking. It doesn't matter. You are here now. You will never go back there again. But the husband's jaw tightened. You don't understand. If she escaped, they will come looking. If they wanted her once, they still want her now. That night, unable to sleep, the husband retreated to his private office. He unlocked a safe hidden behind a portrait and pulled out an old file. Inside were documents he had buried years ago, reports of enemies, names of rivals, whispered rumors of secret experiments involving alien DNA. One name stood out among them, the Syndicate. They were known in whispers across business and politics, an organization that traded in power, wealth, and illegal science. For years he had fought against them in business wars, but he never thought they would reach into his home, his family. Now, staring at his daughter's altered DNA results, he realized the truth. The Syndicate had taken her. They had experimented on her, and then for reasons still unknown they had let her go. The husband gritted his teeth. Rage boiled in his chest. They had stolen his child, destroyed his peace, and twisted his bloodline with alien science. He would not rest until he burned them to the ground. Upstairs, the girl woke in the middle of the night, sweating from another nightmare. She walked to the balcony and looked out at the wide garden under the moonlight. For a brief moment she felt calm, but then she saw something at the edge of the trees. Shadows moving where no one should be. Her glowing eyes widened. She stepped back quickly. Downstairs, the husband entered her room after hearing her footsteps. He found her pale, pointing toward the garden. "Someone's there," she whispered. He looked out, but the shadows were gone. Still, his instincts screamed danger. He called for guards at once. The wife entered, frightened. What happened? The husband put his arm around her shoulders, his eyes fixed on the dark garden. "They know. Someone already knows she's here." The girl clutched the bear to her chest, her voice trembling. "They're coming back for me, aren't they?" The wife hugged her tightly, tears in her eyes. "No one will take you again." But the husband stood tall, his expression cold as steel. "If they come, I will be ready, and I will find the truth of what they did to you." The storm was no longer outside. It was inside the mansion now, growing louder with every secret uncovered. The hunter appears. The mansion was no longer peaceful. Guards now patrolled the gardens with sharp eyes, and every window was locked tight. The husband had doubled the security overnight after the strange shadows were seen. He trusted no one, but the wife refused to let fear poison the air inside the home. She stayed close to the girl, reading her stories, feeding her warm meals, and reminding her she was loved. Yet behind her smile, worry lived in her heart. She knew her husband was right. Whoever had stolen their daughter would not simply let her go. 3 nights later, her fear proved true. It was just past midnight when the first sign appeared. The guards at the east gate heard a low hum, almost like an engine, but when they looked up, the sky was empty. Seconds later, their radios cut out. Static hissed, and then silence. One of them muttered, "Something's wrong," before his voice was swallowed by the night. Inside the mansion, the girl woke suddenly. Her glowing eyes snapped open. She felt it, a presence dark and familiar, pressing against her chest like a weight. She whispered into the dark, "They've found me." The wife, who had fallen asleep in the chair beside her, stirred awake. "What is it, darling?" Before the girl could answer, a loud crash echoed through the mansion. The sound of glass shattering. Guards shouted. The alarm blared. The husband burst into the room, a gun in his hand. "Stay with her," he ordered his wife. Then he turned and ran down the hall. The intruder moved like a shadow, tall and broad, his steps silent despite the chaos around him. His face was hidden under a mask with glowing red lines, his body covered in black armor. He was no ordinary thief, he was a hunter. And he had come for the girl. With a wave of his hand, strange alien tech on his wrist released a pulse. 2 guards froze in mid-step, unable to move, their weapons clattering to the floor. The hunter walked past them without a glance. The husband met him near the staircase. "Who are you?" he demanded, aiming his gun. The hunter's masked voice was deep, distorted. "She belongs to us. Give her back and I may let you live." The husband's finger tightened on the trigger. "She is my daughter. You will not touch her." The hunter tilted his head. "Your daughter?" "No, she is an experiment, a creation, property of the syndicate." At that word, the husband's blood boiled. He fired, but the hunter moved too fast. The bullet grazed the wall as the hunter leaped forward, striking the gun aside. The two clashed fiercely, human strength against alien-enhanced power. Upstairs, the girl covered her ears as the sounds of battle echoed through the mansion. The wife held her close, whispering, "Don't listen, my darling. Your father will protect us." But the girl shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You don't understand. He's too strong. He's come for me. He won't stop." As if proving her words, the door suddenly burst open. The hunter stood there, tall and terrifying, his glowing mask reflecting in the girl's wide eyes. "Come with me," he said coldly, "or I will tear this place apart." The wife stood in front of the girl, spreading her arms wide. "You will not take her." The hunter's voice was calm, almost amused. "You think you can stop me?" But before he could move, the husband appeared behind him, blood on his lip, rage in his eyes. He tackled the hunter, driving him back into the hallway. Both men crashed against the wall, trading blows with brutal force. The girl screamed. Something inside her broke. Her glowing eyes shone brighter than ever, and a strange energy surged through her body. The stuffed bear dropped from her hands as sparks of blue light crackled in the air around her. The hunter paused for just a moment, his mask turning toward her. "Yes," he hissed. "The power is awakening. That is why we need you." The girl shook her head, trembling. "I don't want this. I never asked for this." But the energy inside her grew stronger, spilling into the room. The walls shook and the chandelier above swayed dangerously. The wife gasped, shielding her eyes from the light. The husband seized the moment, slamming the hunter against the railing. "She's not yours," he roared. The hunter shoved him back with brutal strength. His mask glowed brighter as he prepared to strike again. But then the girl's power exploded. A wave of energy burst from her, throwing everyone to the ground. The hunter crashed through the wall, landing in the hall below. Guards rushed forward, but the hunter rose to his feet unharmed. His mask cracked slightly. He looked up at the girl through the broken ceiling. "This is not over. The syndicate will come for you, and next time there will be no escape." With that, he pressed a device on his wrist and his body shimmered. In a flash of light, he was gone. The mansion lay in ruins, smoke rising from broken walls and shattered glass. Guards stumbled to their feet, confused and shaken. The wife knelt beside the girl, who was trembling with exhaustion. She pulled her close, whispering, "It's all right, my darling. He's gone. You're safe now." But the husband stood in the rubble, his fists clenched, his eyes burned with fury. "No," he said quietly, his voice like steel. "This is only the beginning. They will not stop, and neither will I." He looked at his daughter, who clung to her mother, glowing faintly in the dim light. The truth was clear now. The syndicate had created a weapon, but they had made a mistake, because she was not theirs anymore. She was his, and he would destroy anyone who tried to take her again. The final choice. The mansion was quiet after the attack, but the silence was not peace. Broken walls, shattered glass, and scorch marks scarred the once proud home. Guards repaired what they could, but their eyes stayed sharp, knowing the enemy would return. Inside, the girl sat on her bed, hugging her bear tightly. Her glowing eyes stared at the floor. She had unleashed power she did not understand, and it frightened her more than the masked hunter's threats. The wife stroked her hair gently. "You are safe now, my child. Nothing will harm you here," but the girl whispered, "I am not safe. I am the danger." The words pierced the wife's heart, but she pulled the girl closer. "No, you are not a danger. You are our daughter." Downstairs, the husband met with his most trusted advisors. His voice was low but firm. "The syndicate knows she is alive. They will come again, stronger, with more men. We must prepare." One of the guards hesitated. "Sir, forgive me, but can we protect her?" "She is not ordinary. If they want her for what she carries inside," the husband's eyes burned. "She is my daughter. I will protect her, even if I must fight the whole galaxy." But in his heart, doubt stirred. Could he truly protect her from enemies this powerful? Could walls, guards, and guns stop forces that had already turned his child into something more than human? That night, the girl could not sleep. She slipped quietly to the balcony and looked at the stars. Her glowing eyes reflected the night sky. She whispered to herself, "Why me? Why did they choose me?" Behind her, footsteps approached. It was the husband. He stood beside her, his expression softer than usual. "Couldn't sleep?" She shook her head. "Every time I close my eyes, I see them. The white coats. The cages. That man with the mask. He will come back." The husband clenched his fists. "Yes, but when he does, I will be ready." She turned to him, her small face serious. "Why are you doing this? You don't even know if I'm really your daughter." The husband froze. The question cut deeper than any blade. He looked at her scar, her face, her memories, her glowing eyes. Finally, he whispered, "Because, daughter or not, you are mine now. I will not lose you again." The girl's eyes filled with tears. For the first time, she believed he truly meant it. The next day, the family gathered in the library. The wife held the girl's hand tightly, while the husband spread documents across the table, evidence of the syndicate's crimes. "Names, photos, secret labs, we have two choices," the husband said. "We can hide here, waiting for them to strike again. Or we can fight back. We can expose them, destroy their labs, and end their hold on this city." The wife's voice trembled. "But if we fight them, we put her in more danger." The girl's voice, soft but steady, broke the silence. They will never stop hunting me. If I stay here, you will all get hurt. I don't want that. The wife pulled her close. No, darling, you belong with us. This is your home, but the girl shook her head. Home isn't walls. Home is people. And if I stay, home will be destroyed. The husband studied her, pride flickering in his eyes. She was more than a victim. She was becoming something stronger. That night, another shadow moved at the edge of the estate. This time, the husband was ready. He led his guards into the garden, weapons raised. But instead of the hunter, a messenger drone hovered above the ground. It projected a cold voice into the air. Return what belongs to us, or your city will burn. The husband shot the drone down without hesitation. Sparks lit the grass. He whispered to himself, "They think she belongs to them, but she never will." Inside, the girl sat with her mother, watching the flames outside the window. She looked into the wife's tearful eyes. "Do you want me to stay?" The wife kissed her forehead. "More than anything. But if leaving keeps you safe, then I will let you go. Because love is not chains, my darling. Love is freedom." The girl hugged her tightly. "Then I will fight. Not just for me, for you. For us." When dawn came, the family gathered at the gates. The girl stood between them, her glowing eyes brighter than ever. The husband gave her a small communicator. "This will keep us connected, no matter where you are." The wife gave her the necklace she had once offered in the rain. "So you will always know you are loved." The girl held both treasures close. Her heart felt heavy but strong. She looked at them and whispered, "I will come back. I promise." As the gates opened, the first rays of sun broke through the clouds. The girl stepped forward, not as a lost child, not as a victim, but as someone who now carried the power of both human love and alien strength. The husband and wife watched her walk into the light, their hearts torn but proud. The wife whispered, "She will return to us." The husband, his eyes fixed on the horizon, replied, "And when she does, the syndicate will regret ever touching her." The girl glanced back one last time, her glowing eyes shining with tears and determination. She had a family now, a reason to fight. And as she disappeared down the road, the story was no longer about loss. It was about the war that was coming.